Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be doing a live stream today. Uh, be talking about with our upcoming Christmas system. We also do have a snowfall forecast pretty much due to high confidence. It's gonna be my main reason for that. So let me get chat pull up on my phone. And I'm gonna let my Twitter followers know that I am currently live. So just give me a second. Alright, there we go. So how's everybody's day been doing today? Hopefully it's going well. We'll probably wait for at least a couple people to join. Got four. So this system here is going to bring a lot of different things for portions of the East United States. It could possibly bring a winter storm. That's number one. Number two, it can bring some severe weather across the Carolinas, which is pretty concerning, which we'll go over that. It's also looking to be very windy across the Northeast as well. Welcome to the stream, everybody. How much snow is Ohio going to get? I'll show you guys the snowfall map in just a moment, but let's just go ahead and look into the current models. Let's do that. So now I think the most accurate model is going to be the high-risk Canadian. Uh, so let's take a look to that. So we do expect possibly near blizzard conditions across portions of Minnesota and Dakotas. We actually do have winter storm watches in effect for some of those regions there. Some of those guys can get at least several inches of snow. But then that cold air does make it to the moisture along the cold front as well. Then eventually a new low pressure system should start to develop somewhere around Dixie Alley here across the south. And eventually you can see there it goes pops up right there. And then eventually it should ride along that front up across the northeast. Uh, and you can see here, definitely different than past water runs. If you guys haven't noticed that, we've been seeing a westward trend with this, with some of those higher snowfall totals, looking to be pushing further to the west. Which let me show you guys those snowfall totals from the high risk Canadian, which in my opinion is probably the most accurate one right now. And here it says snowfall mounts. You can see here quite a westward shift. We were seeing snowfall mounts probably across portions of New York State, you know, West Virginia, even to Pennsylvania as well. Now we're starting to see those higher snowfall totals more across Ohio, a good chunk of Kentucky, portions of Tennessee, and still including most of West Virginia as well. It's even got an expansion up across, eastern Michigan, but there's some very high uncertainties with that. We probably won't go too much detail across eastern Michigan at this point, but you can see here, it's got a pretty good swath of snow, you know, widespread 5+ inches over a good chunk of the areas there. Let's look into the NAM, and it's also quite similar. It's even got some higher snowfall totals, across eastern Kentucky, central and eastern Kentucky, even down as far south as central and eastern Tennessee. Look across Ohio. You got snowfall totals at least 9 to possibly 17 inches, which some of that's going to be lake effect snow. And look at far eastern Michigan here, showing snowfall totals at least a foot across those regions. I'll probably have to update my snowfall forecast for eastern Michigan because I haven't really paid attention too much to that area. But I think the main area of focus is really going to be a good chunk of Ohio, West Virginia, central and eastern Kentucky will probably be the areas to watch for. Here's a high risk NAM here. It's a little bit further east. Well, it's probably safe to say it's not as widespread with those higher snow. Here's a high spread 4+ inches of snow across eastern, and some of those higher elevations can see more than that. Here's the GFS, central and eastern Ohio. 7+ inches of snow along Lake Erie, at least a foot of snow. Eastern Kentucky, 6 to 8 inches. Some areas over 8 inches. Some of the mountains across West Virginia could see quite a bit of snow as well. Also western Pennsylvania there. Here's the GFS ensembles here, and we've been seeing a growing agreement here. Typically, higher the numbers, the better the agreement there is. And you can see here, we've got widespread 6+ inches of snow, across a good chunk of Kentucky, portions of Tennessee, most of West Virginia, eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and also far southwestern New York State there as well. And this is the original Canadian model. And here we go. This is the most snow it's showing. And you can see here, okay, I highway doubt there's going to be 4 feet of snow there. Trust me, there's no way there's going to be 4 feet of snow there. But you can see here, showing widespread foot plus amounts, probably overdone. Yeah, by the way, guys, this is in Kutch era ratio. It said the 10-to-1. With some events like this, for what I've heard, from a couple meteorologists, they recommend using this ratio. It's also done a much better job on a nor'easter event. Okay, we lost connection. That happens every single live stream. I cannot figure that out. Seems like there's always going to be a drop or something. Alright. Hopefully people can come back and stuff. And as you can see here, pretty good snowfall amounts there as well. And this is what we're going to be using for this event, is in this ratio here. Again, it has done a better job than the nor'easter event versus the 10-to-1. European Mall, probably the one of the least amount of snow. You can see it's got pretty good 16 inches around Erie, Pennsylvania, but you can see a pretty good swath of 5 to 8 inches of snow, there as well. And I can see a lot of you guys are asking for the snowfall forecast. Here it is. Expect this to change. I can see changes already needs to be made. So let's go to get started with Michigan. I have the entire state in a coating of 3 inches. The main reason is really for that lake effect snow. There's likely going to be lake effect snow when that Arctic high pressure system comes in, or you could say the low pressure system, is east of the Great Lakes. You have that northwest wind, which can bring a decent amount of snow. You can see there's going to be some areas that can see quite a bit of snow. For example, here, along Lake Erie here, there's areas that can see anywhere from 8 to sometimes some areas may see over a foot of snow. There's another area east of Lake Ontario here. They can see quite a bit of snow there as well. And eastern Ohio, I'm predicting you guys to see 5 to 8 inches of snow. I may consider to extend this further to the south into central and eastern Kentucky. We're going to see about that. The mountains of West Virginia can see anywhere from 5 to over 8 inches of snow. Even across the Smoky Mountains can even see 3 to 5 inches of snow. Some areas will probably see higher amounts there as well. But again, this is likely going to change. If we go up across New York, here you can see are generally a coating to possibly up to 3 inches. Those higher elevations will probably have a better chance of seeing some higher snowfall totals there as well. In areas in white, it's a general coating to 1 inch there as well. Let me see if I can answer some of you guys' questions here. Can Ohio get a foot of snow? Probably the better chance will be along Lake Erie there. How much snow at Charleston, West Virginia? Charleston, West Virginia, I got you guys at 5 to 8 inches of snow for now. Detroit, I got you guys at coating to 3 inch, although they may need an upgrade. We'll see about that. What's my percentage for Northern Alabama to get snow? There's a pretty decent chance. For Northern Alabama, I do not expect snowfall accumulations, however, but there's a pretty good chance you guys can see some snow flying around across Northern Alabama. Even across Northern Georgia as well, can see snow flurries fly around there as well. I'll say there's a probably pretty good 70-80% chance Northern Alabama can see snow flying around. But accumulations, that's going to be much lower. Dayton, Ohio, are you expecting more of a coning area or closer to the 3? There's a chance probably you guys maybe a little bit closer to 2 to 3 inches. Probably for Dayton there. Can Northern Ohio get 20 inches? There's a possibility there. What will be the wind in eastern Pennsylvania? Yeah, we're going to get to that because wind is going to be a big concern there. No problem, James Turnity. So let's go ahead and move on to some other things. Like that one guy said, talking about the wind. Let's go ahead and move on to that. So for some reason, the site here, it's not updated to the. See if I can try and get this updated to 12Z. There we go. Okay, now we're at 12Z. So let's take a look to those winds because that's going to be a big concern. You say, here comes your big system. Oh yeah, speaking of strong winds, we got high wind warnings, wind advisories going on across a good chunk of the plains here. I mean, ports of Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, the Dakotas, always down far south. I believe if as far south as portions of Kansas and Colorado. You guys are going to be seeing some strong winds later today into tonight. There's going to be some strong northwest winds going on. Now, keep in mind, European models typically overduce the wind gusts. You can see across central Kentucky up to Ohio, 47, 48. But looking back across portions of Kansas, 62 mile per hour wind gusts. That's pretty strong. That's severe thunderstorm territory. Let's kind of move on here into Thursday. Your low pressure system starts to develop and mature across the Appalachian Mountains. Let's move on to the northeast. Oh, wait a minute. Let's actually look to the Carolinas. Probably, I would say wind gusts probably 45 to possibly 50 miles an hour across those regions. But when it gets to the northeast, showing wind gusts up as high as 65 miles an hour. But again, I think that's going to be overdone. I mean, it's showing 70 miles an hour there. And you can see here, even up across Maine can see up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. But I think some of the highest wind gusts, I think in general, is going to be anywhere from 50 to 55 miles an hour. There could be some isolated areas that can see higher wind gusts, especially those higher elevations. Those areas have a better chance of seeing wind gusts that high there. Will Moorhead, Kentucky have a white Christmas? I think there's a really good chance at this point for Moorhead to get a white Christmas. How much snow in Charleston, West Virginia? I got you guys at 5 to 8 inches of snow. But you can see our strong winds seems to be a pretty good scenario across, the mid-Atlantic up across the Northeast. Let's look at the GFS. And the GFS probably does a little bit better with these wind gusts. You can see here, wind gusts 55, closer to 60 miles an hour in a few areas there as well. So yeah, strong winds definitely pretty likely at this point there as well. How much rain could fall? There could be a decent amount of rain out of this, especially when some of that rain kind of trains over some of the same areas. You can see, or some isolated areas could see 2.5 inches of rain, which is quite a bit. If you look at a European model, some areas could possibly see up to 3 inches of rain. So there's a decent amount of rain coming across some of this region. So a flash flood threat could be there as well. So let's move on to severe weather. This is my biggest concern right now. Out of everything else, this is going to be a big concern. Now, this is tomorrow. This is day 2. We got a large margin of risk across portions of Dixie Alley, across the south. The tornado threat is there, maybe probably mainly along the coast there. Damage winds will be the primary threat. I don't really see a hail threat out of this. But overall, not looking to be a too big of a deal at this point across Dixie Alley. The biggest concern is when we get into day 3, which I think this is Christmas Eve. We got cyclones for severe weather across eastern North Carolina and northeastern South Carolina as well. With a couple marginal risks there as well. Now, this is an area to watch, and let me show you guys the NAM with this. So this is in, future radar. And as we kind of get to Christmas Eve here, you can see here, these could be possibly supercells out ahead of this cold front here across the Carolinas. And that's quite concerning there. And then here comes your actual cold front. That could bring some pretty strong winds with that along that front there. That could bring some damaging winds there as well. Let's look into some other things here. So let's look into the superset composite values here. And as you can see here, we got pretty decent numbers here. Got as high as a 7 across portions of South Carolina. Let's take a look to some of those soundings here as well. And you can see here, we got a pretty good hodograph right here. There, that's at a pretty good angle, stuff like that. We got quite a bit of wind shear as well. 48 knots, that's a lot of wind shear. And I think instability is going to be your main player with this. If we see much lower amount of instability, the severe threat will be lower. But if we see high amount of instability, yeah, there's going to be a much better chance for severe weather. Then let's move on across, East Central North Carolina. You see again a pretty good hodograph here. Less instability, but the wind shear is going to be a little bit higher as you get a little bit further up across the north. You can see the numbers do increase across eastern North Carolina, even including eastern Virginia as well. You can see a PDS tornado icon there. Pretty good hodograph, higher wind shear, decent amount of cape. Pretty favorable environment for some severe weather. And I'll say the primary threat is going to be damaging winds. There could be a few tornadoes out there as well. The hail threat may stay low. We could probably see some quarter-size hail out there as well with this environment. So if anybody that lives in these regions here, definitely got to pay attention to the severe weather threat because it's definitely quite elevated across those regions there. You mentioned strong winds off the mid-Atlantic. Any chance of severe weather for South Carolina on Christmas Eve? Yeah, it's what we're going over right now. So this is the significant tornado parameters. And you can see generally over a 1, you got a tornado risk. And you can see here we got numbers that's, you know, as high as a 4.6 in a few regions here. So we got some pretty high numbers here. So definitely a favorable environment for some severe weather. Severe weather threat maybe as far south as, the Florida Panhandle and probably as far north as Maryland and Delaware. With this type of setup here as well. Let's take a look to some of this cape here, which is, what storms feed onto is cape. This is the potential energy in the atmosphere. Well, actually, this is surface-based. You can see here, generally over 1,000, you got a pretty favorable environment for severe weather, but it's generally under 1,000, which isn't that bad for severe weather. But with a very high shear environment and a low cape environment, there's still going to be a pretty decent chance for some severe weather, especially with that wind shear being pretty high there as well. And let's take a look to that wind energy at 850 millibars. This is what's really going to indicate your damaging wind threat with some of these thunderstorms. And you can see here we got some divergence going on, so some of those storms can likely build up into clouds, into the atmosphere. And as you can see here, we got winds, up to 65 knots. That's close to 70 miles an hour. And the numbers get higher. I mean, 77 knots, those are wind gusts. They're probably at least 80 to 85 miles an hour. And when storms can build into an atmosphere, this high 850 millibars, sometimes they could bring winds up there down to the surface. And that's why we have a pretty good damage wind threat with this as well. So this is definitely something we really got to pay attention to. And you can see the numbers just increase here. And any thunderstorms that build this high to the atmosphere, I mean, 95 knots, that's 100-mile-an-hour winds at least in miles an hour. So definitely a very concerning setup here. I mean, GFS shows a little bit a different story. And if we look into, the superset composite, which is not as high res as the NAM, it kind of brings in like a broad picture here. You can see here it's generally a 1, so it's somewhat favorable for, at least for isolated supercells, much weaker supercells. But if we get to a sounding here, see if it'll come up here. It's been a long time since Eastern Kentucky had White Christmas. Yeah, that is true. I mean, despite, snow, well, I'll probably say snowflakes, I believe 2017, 2018, or either one of those. 2010 was our last, like, legit White Christmas with 2 inches of snow there. So it's been a while there. So, yeah, probably for a photograph like this, more of a weak tornado. Your dew point 61 and your actual temperature 66 degrees. And usually with dew points over 60, yeah, you got a pretty favorable environment for thunderstorms. That's pretty good for thunderstorms there. And that's about as high as Eastern Virginia there as well. So it's quite far north to see dew points that high there as well. So this is definitely something we got to pay attention to. If the NAM model is correct, we could possibly see maybe a strong tornado. A strong tornado cannot be ruled out with this event. So this is definitely something we got to pay attention to. So tornado threat, more than likely, or severe weather threat in general, more for the Carolinas and up across eastern Virginia. There as well would be the area of attention. Hello, Andrew's weather predictions. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we've already used the NAM here. We've already looked into it. But, if the NAM is correct, we cannot rule out a strong tornado. And an upgrade may be needed to enhance. We're going to see if the GFS and models, some of the other models do Transforce and Ham. We're going to see about that. Yeah. I think a couple strong tornadoes are possible condition threat, though. Yeah, I do agree with that there as well. Let's kind of switch back to, the winter side of things. We've covered, the warm sector of the system. Let's kind of go back to the cold sector of the system. This is something I want to look at too. And we'll use the NAO model with this. And we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, snow squalls. And if you don't know what a snow squall is, usually these are scattered, isolated to scattered in nature. And typically, the snow squalls, they can reduce visibility very quickly. And it's almost like a blizzard into some of those. At least it will look like one. But they can also put down a good amount of snow very quickly there as well. So let's take a look to ingredients for a snow squall. So let's first take a look to vorticity. And generally with very cold temperatures as forecasted right now, any little bit of moisture up in the atmosphere, especially with all this vorticity around, is going to come down to the surface. So, higher vorticity values, a little bit better environment for snow squalls. And as you can see, we got some pretty good numbers here, even back across Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky. You got a lot of vorticity going on. Definitely a pretty good environment, for some snow squall activity there. Then let's try to take a look. I believe he looked at 850 millibars. I don't know if we have, the moisture in the atmosphere or whatever there. We may not have it. Yeah, I don't think this model has it, but for any moisture that's left in the atmosphere, say if there's like a tenth of an inch of moisture in the atmosphere, whatever, that's usually equivalent to, an inch of snow or 2/10 of an inch of moisture in the atmosphere. That can equal to 2 inches of snow there as well. So that's what it really is there. And let's take a look to those temperatures there. We'll get to 850 millibars. Colder temperatures, a little bit better environment there. But yeah, moisture is going to be important. You can see here we got temperatures negative 20 degrees Celsius. So, generally speaking, in Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, possibly into Ohio and maybe portions of Michigan, does have a favorable environment for some snow squalls during Christmas Day. So that'd be very exciting for some of those regions. And that's why I have, a good chunk of Indiana and Illinois in a Coney to 3-inch range. just because of those snow squalls that be happening across those regions there as well. Snow map for Eastern Panhandle, West Virginia. The higher elevations, 5 to 8+ inches of snow. But if you're in the lower elevations, it's going to be lower. Although I'm thinking about probably moving this a little bit westward here as well. We'll see if the trends continue. I've also been trending further west over the next for the past few runs. I've also been trending further to the west here. There as well. So yeah, do you guys have any other questions you may want to ask? I don't really know what else to talk about here. But here's the snowfall forecast if anybody's interested. I live right downwind of the Great Lakes. Could that enhance snow squalls? I'm not in. Well, for the ingredients that we look into, not really. It's just lake effect snow because with the cold air adding on top of the warm sea surface temperatures there, that could create condensation, that could create a little bit of moisture, and that's where you get your lake effect snow. It doesn't really affect much of the way snow squalls, although they act like squalls, but it's just lake effect snow. They have some similarities to it. What's the snowfall in eastern Kentucky? I got far northeastern Kentucky in 5 to 8 inches, although that may need to be expanded a little bit further southward, just depending on the trends. But mostly for eastern Kentucky, it's 3 to 5 inches at this time here as well. How much snow did Carroll County get? In which state are you talking about, JT? Snow amount in western West Virginia. So here we go here. I got some areas, 3 to 5 inches, in probably the northwestern part of West Virginia in the 5 to 8 inch zone there as well. In Ohio, let me see if I can know where that is. So, Carroll County, Ohio. Let's see if I probably did not spell that right. Well, I did spell it right, but it's going to lead me to that. So that's in eastern Ohio. So I got you guys in the 5 to 8 inch zone. Most models don't usually pick up on lake effect snow since they don't account for lake temperatures. Yeah, that's pretty true. And models typically, can underdo lake effect snow as well. How about snowfall amounts in northern Sweden? I have no idea. I really have no idea there for Sweden. I think the Weather Channel is underdoing their snowfall forecast. I haven't really seen their snowfall forecast yet. I haven't seen it yet. Although we can look on here to see here. Snow forecast. Here, let's just go to just the Weather Channel in general. Now we can't play the video, but so we can. How much snow are they showing? We can try and look and see it from here. They may need to. They're probably gonna need some changes on there. Can Ohio possibly get a foot of snow? There may be a chance. There could be a chance for it. I mean, there's a couple malls that show it. I mean, this ball shows it, close to a foot. It's got some areas a little over a foot. Here's the NAM. Well, it's under 10 inches. There's a low end chance. The high-risk dam doesn't go throughout the entire system. There's probably a pretty low chance of seeing a foot of snow. Here's the GFS ensembles. Again, pretty good agreement here with, general 6 to 8 inches of snow across eastern Ohio. We'll see if those trends continue to move to the west on the 18Z runs. I'll be very interested. I just remember someone mentioned there to look into the HER model. We'll see if it's far out enough. The HER and also the rapid refresh. It is actually currently updating onto 18Z. So, how far is it? It can go as far as 40 hours. Well, it's getting there. So here's the HER. You can see here starts to transition to snow across, west central Kentucky and central Indiana here. We can wait for the HER model update, and I'm pretty sure the rapid refresh. We gotta look onto 15Z to get 51 hours. Let's look into the Mid-Atlantic. It seems like the rapid refresh mode does a decent job on severe weather. One time I've seen it nailed the superset composite a couple times before. So let's look into. Let's see, where is it at? Precipitation type. So let's see what the rapid refresh. I haven't looked into these models yet, so let's see what they show. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, pretty good swath of snow there. And your low should be starting to follow up along that front right there. For this event, we'll be using Kutch era here. Probably one of the most accurate, measurements to use for snowfall. You can see here, it's definitely further west than some of the other models to me. Around Bowling Green, 3 inches of snow. It's definitely a little bit further west. Does not go for the entire event yet, but it's close. We'll see if it kind of gets as far as to the severe weather side. Onto this here. I'm down by Huntsville, Alabama. He says 70% of snow flurries, right? Yeah, probably. Yeah, 70% chance of seeing snow flurries there across northern Alabama. There's a decent chance there. So here's a rapid refresh. It does go just in time here for the daytime heating or the peak. Not as much instability for one. Still got a decent photograph, pretty good amount of wind shear. There's a pretty good agreement with wind shear, but the instability or the cape, some uncertainties with that, and that's going to be the main driver with this event here. But we still got decent numbers here, as high as a 6. We'll see on the next run here very soon. The rapid refresh. I'll just wait for the HER model to get done here. That's 18Z. No, this is 15Z right here with the rapid refresh. If I go to, 18Z, I only get 21 hours, if I'm correct. And it doesn't even get to the event. Yeah, only 21 hours doesn't get to the event. So we have to use 15Z in order to get to the event here. Use it for the placement. Alright. Let me see which website it is a little bit further. I think it may have to be College of DuPage here. Yeah, College of DuPage is more ahead than Pitiful Weather of updating the HER model. So, again, the Carolinas does have a threat for severe weather. And like someone said earlier, the Carolinas have a better chance of seeing severe weather than snow. I mean, the mountains, with typical of these events, these mountains pretty much block your snow chances. These subs here are not really favorable for snow for the Carolinas. There's a chance some of you guys may see a few flurries, but nothing much at all, really. Yeah, I know. Just hopefully not much of any or no tornadoes happen. Because if a tornado hits somebody's house, man, they'll have a bad Christmas this year. So hopefully no tornadoes happen. Especially on Christmas Eve, that'd be bad. Yeah, there's a chance they may upgrade this to 30% for the wind. I mean, the wind energy is ridiculous. There's all tons of wind energy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, the environment's prime for tornadoes. Yeah, I do agree. We're gonna see. I think there's a pretty good chance that store predictor probably upgrade to enhanced risk. It's either gonna be tomorrow or it's gonna be on the day when it's gonna happen. Tomorrow we'll have a little bit more specific details of what the SPC is gonna be forecasting. Yeah. When I look into the NAM, there does show the possibility for supercells out ahead of the line. That's my concern, which is now starting to update on 18Z as well. I'm sure it's not far. Nope, not far at all. Let's go back to 12Z. So now we're starting to get more models to update. You can see here in the warm sector, you do get some scattered thunderstorms to develop far out ahead of the cold front here. So that's going to be my main concern. If you're going to be more concerned with the winds, it's going to be along that front. And if we look into the temperature difference, it's going to be one heck of a cold front. I mean, look at here. Far eastern Kentucky, 52 degrees. Far southwestern Kentucky, 27 degrees. What a difference that is. And when you get to the Carolinas, far eastern North Carolina or eastern North Carolina, nearly 70 degrees. And in western North Carolina, it's in the low 20s to upper teens. What a difference there. Best Cape convection is around 21 to 0Z for tornadoes. I like using pitiful weather more than college, but that's just me. Yeah, so I guess we're just gonna be waiting on the her model. Oh man, look at that band of heavy snow right there. Let's look into those soil temperatures. That's gonna be one of the factors for snowfall accumulations. It's very good to depend on those snowfall rates. Move my phone out of the way so I can actually zoom in here. Look at these temperatures here. Turn on the legend here. 45 to 50 degrees. I mean, those temperatures on the ground are pretty warm. So it's really good to depend on those snowfall rates. if the snowfall rates are high enough, you know, the snowfall rates can overcome those warm, surface temperatures. You can see it's really warming very quickly. It's been warming up like a couple degrees per day now. So it's kind of insane there. I can go from 72 on Christmas Eve to just about freezing on Christmas morning. Yeah. Yeah, you don't need much instability with that high amount of shear. And the amount of shear is very high. There's a lot of wind shear going on in the atmosphere, so you don't need much instability. So really higher the instability, you know, it's going to be one of those type of events. Higher the instability, the better chance of severe weather there is. If we see instability values at least 1,000, you got a pretty good environment there. See how it transitions over to heavy snow. Possibly some snow squalls behind that as well. Flat vorticity and what's, moisture that's left in the atmosphere is going to get squeezed down into snowflakes. You can get some snow squalls, you can get a couple inches of snow in a very short period of time. If CAPE is 800 plus, we'll likely get an enhanced. Yep. I really like this upgrade of the HER. Now it has more hours. It used to be 36 hours, now we can go as far out as 48 hours. It's pretty nice. Let's look into those snowfall totals with this here. See what the HER is pushing out. Or spitting out, I should say. Not that high so far. A little over an inch. Yeah, that is true though. Doesn't have any soundings. When the HER model gets done, we'll probably end the stream. So right now we're just waiting on the HER model to get done and see what it's gonna say. Yeah, Southern Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida Panhandle for strong winds and ice tornadoes. Yeah, they do have a chance for that as well. We can quickly look into that. Okay, North Georgia mountains getting snow. Yeah, there's a chance North Georgia mountains can see some snow out of it. There's a chance. Do you know how much snow Detroit would get? I got you guys at a coating to 3 inches, but that may need to be upgraded. We'll see what the trends are going to go towards. So this is the rapid refresh. You can see your supercell composite's not that high for right now. If we look into the tornado parameters, the significant tornado parameters, not that high either. Maybe at least for an isolated tornado or two. Let's look into that one. Yeah, not really a favorable environment here that we're seeing here. See how much instability there is going to be down here. So let's see. Yeah, instability is going to be key. Looks pretty favorable across, eastern Texas, western Louisiana, even across portions of Arkansas. But it's a little bit of a lower end threat for, portions of Alabama. They may need to move that marcher ridge, probably take away central Alabama, maybe move it a little bit further south. Orange hail, yeah. There could be a threat for it. Let's see. You know, setups like these here, along the Gulf Coast can be a little bit sneaky sometimes, especially across the Florida Panhandle. You never know, next morning you got a lot of severe storms. You know, that has happened. You got a decent amount of wind shear, 31 knots, some instability there. So there could be a low end tornado threat. I mean, damaging winds would probably be the primary threat here. The problem is it's going to be that most of this is going to be overnight, so that's going to be the downside about this. Most of this is going to be happening overnight. When it gets into Florida, the wind shear, decreases. Yeah. Yeah, well, not that much. 3, 4 knots, that's not too shabby. Photograph's not that great, though. Lap rates, give me our supporter. Let's see. Honestly, it's not really spitting out that much snow. Let's go back here. Yeah, this could happen. It could happen. Alright, Hermo's done. We'll call them snow squalls, or maybe snow squalls on the backside. Those are going to be your snow makers right there. Those are the ones that could put down a good amount of snow in a short period of time. You see those numbers start to increase as that low pressure system starts to go from a little bit more south to north, type of way. That's the HER model there. Do you guys have any more questions before I end the stream? I think I'm going over pretty much everything here. Give you guys some time to type. Doesn't look like you guys will have any questions. I'll probably give you guys another minute. Give you guys some time to type. Are you ending? Yeah, I'm going to end the stream. I've pretty much gone over everything, really. We'll see what the 18Z model runs say. The NAM, the high-res NAM. We'll see what they say. But again, the trend's been further west, which I did predict this earlier. Literally yesterday, I was talking about this. To my experience, models tend to trend northwest in a day or two before the event happens. And guess what? It's happened. Trending further west. So it seems like my prediction is correct. And I literally just talked about it yesterday. It seems like models, tend to trend west a day or two before it actually happens. How much snow for western New York? Well, if you're going to be, along Lake Ontario, on the eastern side, there's a good chance you guys will see a pretty good amount of snow, 8 to possibly over a foot of snow there as well. But generally, a good chunk, if you're around Buffalo, it's kind of the same thing. It's going to be a sharp cutoff there. But if western New York, generally a coating to possibly up to 3 inches. Appreciate Andrew. Alright guys, I'm going to end it here. Hope you guys did enjoy this this live stream. If you guys like this live stream, hit that like button. If you already do like my channel, Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so every minute there's an upload. If you guys got questions about this, watching as a video, you can put it in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. It looks like I got one more question. I've heard North Georgia mountains can get 3 to 5 inches of snow if the cold front comes in time. Yeah, for right now, I got, what did I got you guys at? Yeah, the Georgia, mountains, I got you guys an inch to 3 inches. And hopefully, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you guys